Cooking with plants, vegan made easy.
Hi everyone, it's Anja from Cooking with Plants, and today I'm making mini stuffed seitan roasts with instant mushroom gravy. So for this recipe, the first thing we're going to be making is the stuffing, and you'll need 3 pieces of bread for this that have been toasted and sliced into the oversized thumb-sized pieces, and just place those into a mixing bowl. Next, I'm adding half a cup of breadcrumbs, 1/4 or quarter of a cup of chopped scallions, or shallots as we call them in Australia, 1 teaspoon of granulated garlic, or you could also use onion flakes, and 2 teaspoons of dried basil, or any dried herbs of your choice. Some salt and pepper to taste. I'm using about 1/8 of a teaspoon each of black pepper and Himalayan rock salt. This is an optional ingredient, but I'm adding 2 tablespoons of nutritional yeast flakes. I also have 1 cup of vegetable broth, and it is a salted one, and I'm going to just pour about half of that in to start with, and then give that a good mix through. And then just add the rest of that broth in and give it a final mix through. That is smelling super delicious already. And it's only the stuffing. Yum! I can't wait for this. Once that's all mixed through, just set it aside. Now we're moving on to our roasts. So first of all, I'm going to mix all of the dry ingredients in a mixing bowl. And I'm adding in 3/4 or 3/4 of a cup of gluten flour. And it needs to be gluten flour for you to make your seitan roasts. It will just bind everything and hold it together. We're also adding in half a cup of chickpea flour, 1/4 or quarter of a cup of nutritional yeast, and 1 tablespoon of garlic granules or onion flakes if you prefer, and give that a good stir through. So now it's time for the liquid portion of your roast, and for this you're going to need a food processor, and I'm adding in 1 cup of vegetable broth, 1 tin of drained chickpeas. My tin was 425 grams. A small handful of fresh parsley, 2 teaspoons of dried basil or any herb of your choice. And finally, some salt and pepper to taste. I'm using 1/4 of a teaspoon of black pepper and half a teaspoon of coarse Celtic sea salt. And put on your lid and whiz it up. I like to pulse my mixture about 10 to 20 times, so it still has a little bit of texture in there, but is fairly well blended together. So remove your blade and pour the wet mixture into the dry. And give this a good mix through. I like to use a silicone spatula just to get all of that flour off the edge of the bowl. It's just an easy way to work with this dough. Okay, so this is now really well combined. There's no dry flour bits anymore in the bowl, and it's ready to fill. So for this, I'm going to just use a large board and just put some non-stick parchment paper on there. And then put your dough on there, just so it's nice and clean and easy to work with. And just pull that into halves. Set 1/2 aside. Now it's time to preheat your oven. You want to set it to about 180 degrees Celsius or 360 degrees Fahrenheit. With your dough, just press it flat into a rectangular shape. Next, I'm going to be adding on my stuffing. So I'll just turn this around. And I'm going to just get half of that stuffing and just place it along this long edge. Oh, that stuffing smells so good. Okay. And just leave a little space along the edge, and then just place your stuffing along that section. And then just move the dough from underneath and just start to slowly roll that, just so it loosens from the parchment paper. Okay, perfect. And then just bring it together like you would if you were making a sushi roll. And then take your parchment paper and use that to help you roll this. And then I'm just going to cut this in half. Perfect. And then just do the same with your other dough and remaining stuffing. Now that the roasts are assembled, it's time to move on to the mushroom gravy. Get yourself a nice baking tray. I've got a nice large one here today, and I'm adding in 2 cups of a really tasty vegetable broth. Also 1 tablespoon of tamari. You could also use soy sauce, and 2 tablespoons of cornstarch. And just give that a really good stir through just to make sure that there are no lumps in this gravy and that all the cornstarch is really well mixed through. To this I'm adding 1/4 of a teaspoon of white pepper, 1/2 teaspoon of coarse Celtic sea salt and 1/2 teaspoon of granulated garlic. And again, just give that a quick mix through. I've also chopped up about 300 grams of mushrooms, or about 6 large portobello mushrooms. And I'm just going to place these into the pan. Just spread them across the bottom evenly. You can use any mushrooms that you like for this, but I'm using portobello mushrooms just because they are nice and chunky and have a really great texture, and they just add a really nice flavour to gravies. And now you're ready to place your roasts on top. Now take a piece of alfoil that will cover your baking dish and seal it tightly around the edges. It doesn't matter if it's shiny side up or down because that's just from the manufacturing process and it doesn't make any difference to the cooking process. So place it on. This is ready to go in the oven. So this has been in the oven for half an hour now, and I'm just going to carefully lift off the alfoil. Make sure you open it away from you so that you don't burn yourself with the steam that comes out. And then just lift that off. That's looking really good already. They're starting to brown up and have cooked through. The gravy underneath is starting to thicken up. So now just put this back in the oven for another 20 to 30 minutes. So I had this in for an extra 17 minutes. I couldn't wait, it was smelling so good, so I took it out just a fraction early. So 30 minutes to start with, and then about 20 minutes extra without the alfoil on top. Just seems to really make a beautifully finished roast. It just never seems to fail, and it's just so yummy. And I'm going to give it a taste test right now. I'll just cut a little bit off the end here. And it's just perfect with that mushroom gravy that's just made itself while the roast was cooking as well. So it just saves so much time, makes a party or a Christmas dinner, festive dinner, makes it so easy. Holy moly, that just tastes fantastic. It's just so full of flavour, perfect with mashed potato or some roasted potatoes and some vegetables on the side. Wow. This is just sensational. It's just one of my all-time favourite recipes. Give it a try. Let me know what you think. Remember, you can print it off at my website at CookingWithPlants.com. Send me some photos via Facebook or Instagram. Remember, I put out 2 new recipes every week, so if you haven't yet subscribed, please do, and I'll see you for the next recipe. Thanks for watching. Bye.